Imagine this. You're sitting in your bedroom, surrounded by glowing monitors. You type a few lines of code, hit enter, and suddenly, you're inside NASA's network. For 3 minutes, you have access to one of the most secure systems on Earth. You can see classified mission data, satellite controls, and possibly even nuclear command links. Then, poof, you vanish. No trace, no alarm, just digital silence. Sounds like science fiction, right? But it actually happened. This is the story of the hacker who controlled NASA for 3 minutes, and you rewatching Truvo, the channel where we dive deep into real stories that sound too wild to be true. Before we begin, ask yourself this. If a single teenager can break into NASA, how safe are the rest of us? Let's rewind to the early 2000s. The internet was young, wild, and full of possibilities. NASA's systems were connected, but their defenses, primitive by today's standards. Firewalls were thin, encryption was minimal, and they relied on old servers that prioritized speed over security. And somewhere in a quiet suburb thousands of miles away, a curious teenager was poking around online. His name was Gary McKinnon, a Scottish computer enthusiast who called himself Solo. Now, before you imagine some hoodie-wearing super genius in a dark basement, picture a sleepy, coffee-fueled nerd with a dial-up modem and a clunky Windows 98 computer. Gary wasn't trying to steal money. He wasn't trying to plant ransomware. He said he was searching for the truth about UFOs. Yes, UFOs. He believed NASA was hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life, and he was determined to find it. But curiosity can be dangerous, and Gary S. would lead to a digital crime that shook the world. It started small. Gary scanned open ports across U.S. government networks, the Pentagon, the Air Force, and NASA. He used a simple remote access tool called Remotely Anywhere to gain admin privileges, often protected by weak or default passwords. You'd think NASA would have stronger passwords, right? But some systems still used password 123 or had no password at all. Once inside, Gary would delete security logs to cover his tracks and even leave mocking digital notes for administrators. But one night, something extraordinary happened. In 2001, Gary found himself connected to a NASA system based in Virginia. On his screen was a list of files labeled Non-Terrestrial Officers and Fleet-to-Fleet Transfer Logs. He claimed these were records of secret spacecraft and personnel not based on Earth. He even saw satellite images of large objects orbiting Earth, ones that didn't look like anything human-made. Before he could copy them, the screen froze. Connection lost. Gary didn't realize it, but NASA's cybersecurity team had just detected strange traffic, and the countdown had begun. Instead of running, Gary kept exploring. Over the next 13 months, he accessed 97 U.S. military and NASA computers. He logged in at night, between midnight and 3 a.m. London time, when American offices were quiet. He even shut down servers and deleted files, temporarily crippling operations at the U.S. Navy's Atlantic Fleet. But his most infamous moment came in March 2002. Gary McKinnon logged into a NASA computer and for approximately 3 minutes had full administrator control. He could browse satellite software, mission logs, and system directories, the same systems that communicated with spacecraft. For those 3 minutes, he was NASA. And then, everything went dark. The system rebooted. Within hours, a red alert was issued. NASA's security team realized someone hadn't just snooped, they'd taken control. The FBI, the Department of Defense, and NASA's Inspector General launched a joint investigation. For months, they followed the IP traces, slowly piecing together the digital fingerprints Gary had tried to erase. The breach caused an estimated $700,000 in damages, massive for that time. Operations were delayed, files corrupted, and thousands of engineers locked out of critical systems. Still, no one knew who did it. Until one day, British law enforcement knocked on the door of a small London apartment. Inside, they found a pale man surrounded by computers, tangled cables, and Star Trek posters. Gary McKinnon was arrested on the spot. When asked why he did it, he simply said, "I was looking for suppressed technology, free energy, and evidence of UFOs." Suddenly, this wasn't just a cybercrime case. It became a global debate about truth, access, and the blurry line between hacking and whistleblowing. The U.S. accused Gary of committing the biggest military computer hack of all time. He faced up to 70 years in prison and extradition to the United States. But his defense argued that he wasn't malicious. He didn't steal or sell anything. He was just curious. And curiosity, the same force that drives innovation, can also lead to destruction. That's the paradox of hacking. The case dragged on for 10 years. Over time, public opinion shifted. In the UK, many saw Gary as a symbol of digital freedom, a lone man standing up to the overreach of a superpower. Celebrities and politicians joined his cause, saying extraditing him would destroy his life. Finally, in 2012, the British government blocked his extradition, citing human rights concerns. Gary was free, but his digital ghost still haunted NASA. Now step back and think about this. How did one man, with no advanced training, no money, and a dial-up connection, breach the world's most advanced space agency? The answer isn't genius, it's complacency. NASA, like many organizations then, underestimated cybersecurity. They left digital doors unlocked. Weak passwords, outdated systems, unmonitored access. Gary didn't break in. He walked in. It's easy to blame one hacker, but the truth is, every system is only as strong as its weakest password. And here's the scary part. Even today, NASA faces thousands of hacking attempts every month. Most are blocked. Not all succeed. So what if someone right now is already inside, waiting for the perfect moment? To understand how Gary did it, let's break it down. Not to glorify, but to learn. First, reconnaissance. He scanned government IP ranges looking for open ports, like checking every door in a city to see which ones were unlocked. Second, exploitation. He found computers running old Windows systems with default credentials. Third, persistence. He installed remote tools so he could return anytime. Fourth, covering his tracks. He deleted system logs. And finally, privilege escalation, manipulating permissions until he had full control. In modern terms, it was like Mission Impossible, except instead of rappelling through lasers, he just guessed Admin 123. Gary's actions became a cybersecurity wake-up call. They showed how one person's curiosity could expose massive systemic negligence. Today, that's why we have complex passwords, multi-factor authentication, and zero-trust systems. But his story also forces a moral question. Was Gary McKinnon a criminal, or a truth seeker, a hacker, or a whistleblower? He didn't profit from it, yet he endangered missions and national security. In a world where information is power, those who cross the line for truth risk chaos. But his story also captures something deeply human, the relentless search for answers, no matter the cost. Gary never found UFO evidence or secret space fleets, but he uncovered something far more real, the fragility of our digital world. Since then, cybersecurity has evolved into a trillion-dollar global defense industry. Governments treat it like nuclear security. But even now, the weakest link remains human. All it takes is one open port, one lazy password, one curious mind. And maybe, somewhere out there, another solo is sitting in front of a glowing monitor, staring at a NASA login screen, wondering what happens if he presses enter. Because history has a funny way of repeating itself, especially online. So the next time you think of hackers as faceless villains, remember this story. Sometimes the most dangerous breaches don't start with a bomb or a gun, but with curiosity and a keyboard. You've been watching Truvo, where real stories from the dark side of technology come to life. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, tap the bell icon, and stay tuned for the next mind-blowing story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about our digital world. This is Truvo, signing off. Stay curious, stay aware, and stay safe online.